The Dark Lord of the Democrats, James Carville, ripping his party a new one over their lack of unity and warning they are steamrolling towards a civilized civil war after Zoran the Destroyer shocked the establishment in New York City. Carville writing this, quote, constipated, leaderless, confused, a cracked out clown car, divided. These are the words I hear my fellow Democrats using to describe our party as of late. The truth is, they're not wrong. The Democratic Party is in shambles. But speaking of a cracked-out clown car, Hunter is back, and he's hoovering up all the attention from the Democrats with a Pity My Dad podcast tour. Honey confirming that Sleepy Joe was in fact sleepy during his dad's debate meltdown. He also had another excuse for the Clooney fundraiser snatch and grab. Listen.
He flew around the world, basically, and the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times. Yeah. He's 81 years old. He's tired as They give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage, and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights.
And they were yelling at the president about Palestine.
Exactly, about Gaza.
About Gaza.
Yeah.
And he was listening to see what they were saying. Yeah. And that's when Obama grabbed his elbow to got him off, so he didn't engage in that. It wasn't that he like spanned out and didn't know where the hell he was.
Hunter also hurling profanity-laced insults at Obama, Inc. But the Axeman and the Pod Bros aren't taking his malarkey.
No Democrats who called me said, man, I'm glad to see him out there again.
Hunter
That
Biden.
is not Hunter Biden. That is not productive. It may be cathartic for him. It's not very helpful for the party that wants to move forward, not back.
If I was in a room with him and able to talk rationally, I'd just be like, hey, man, look around the world. Look at what's happening in this country right now. Like, I know you're angry personally, but you're not the f***ing victim here.
So is there anybody with common sense left in the Democratic Party? Well, you know things are bad when Rahm Emanuel gets praised for pointing out the obvious.
Can a man become a woman?
Can a man become a woman? No.
Thank you.
No.
That's so easy. Why don't more people in your party just say that?
Because I'm now going to go into a witness protection plan.
All right, Greg, can you chronicle what's going on in the Democratic Party?
I have a little bit of a rant, but if you notice, Rahm was hesitant of speaking basic facts. And that's scary because he's like a grown man. You know, what is he worried about? And that is the essence of his party. It's something the Republicans have that they don't, and that is actual freedom of speech. We refuse to be compelled to think about anything. As long as you have to tiptoe around basic biology, you're screwed. And then you have James Carville, right, who's saying the party needs a savior. What he's saying is they can't do it themselves. They are powerless over the control of their own party. They need someone from the outside to come in who is free of shame, free of fear, free of embarrassment, fearless, not beholden to ideology, willing to share the risk, to come in to blow it up. What he's talking about is Trump, but we have Trump. So where do you find the other Trump? And I know you're going to think I'm crazy when I bring up Hunter Biden, but I think I just described a very similar type with Hunter. People thought Trump wasn't presidential. They thought RFK was too extreme, but people are open to people who are real and can't help being real. Now, put that aside. The Dems are dealing with a woke hangover, like alcohol and drugs. Even though Trump got it out of the House, it's still in their system. It's going to take a year or so for the Democrats to feel normal again, to rediscover their balls. Wokeism is destructive because it put everything into a simplistic equation of oppressor or victim. So it was, for the moment, the immediate moment, it was a real easy thing to do, but you didn't see the long-term consequences. It was just like a drug. And then there was no halfway point with wokeism. You had to go all in. This capitulation to this ideology sacrificed the Democrats' spine. So, trans, the border, dealing with Trump supporters, you no longer could actually navigate, debate, or discuss things, and those muscles atrophied. You said yes to multiple pronouns, sanctuary cities, no cash bail, decriminalization of mass theft, tampons in boys' room, drag queens at story hours. In the guise of compassion, they just completely became intolerant of morals and civil order. Now, they don't know how to get back. That's why when Carville is saying, please help us, because we want to change, but we can't change. In a weird way, Trump saved them by doing for them what they couldn't do for themselves. They can call Trump names all they want, but at least he's getting the woke monkey off their back. Compare like Trump's response to that question, the way Rahm, can a man become a woman? Trump would be like, shut up, you're crazy. Rahm had to pause. That gap is where all the men escape through to the Republican Party.
So they won't change, Sandra. They can. It's possible for them to wake up and just be normal again. Why won't they do that? Why do they keep looking outside?
It's not going to happen as long as Hunter Biden is sitting down for podcasts and interviews like that. I can't imagine that anybody in the party is thrilled to see him out there in this capacity. To David Axelrod's point, he's ripping open these old wounds. Maybe this is cathartic to him. As he also pointed out, but this is just, this is victimhood, and the Democrats think they used to win on this, and this is just putting them on defense. At the same time, you contrast this with what's happening with the current administration. But he said in that interview that the Democrat elite, going back to that debate, the Democrat elite overreacted to his father's debate performance. He suggested we could have survived it. His family, right? The party. If the Democrats hadn't come down on him like they were not supposed to identify what we were all seeing with plain sight, with our own eyes happening on that debate stage. Other thing, Hunter Biden. We're also supposed to believe, after everything that he just revealed about what he knew about his father and the Ambien and the sleeping pills and the night of that debate stage, that he was not somehow inside of that White House and helping his father make decisions. He insisted that was not the case. He said, I was only there 12 days over a 2-year period. He said, I, quote, stayed away as far away as possible. It broke my heart to do so. But I think everything that we're seeing here says that he was inside that White House a heck of a lot.
Well, and if he wasn't in the White House, he was in Delaware every single weekend. Harold Ford Jr. There are a lot of excuses you're hearing. They gave my dad a pill. It wasn't what you really thought it was on stage with Barack Obama. Are we still in the excuses phase?
We shouldn't be. Good to be back with you. We should not be. I think there's a void in the political speech and space diaspora on the Democratic side, which is allowing for voices like Hunter's to really be dominant, to really be listened to in a serious way. I say that because, Jesse, we're not providing answers and solutions and looking forward. When I say we should look forward, I don't mean we should be ignorant of what happened over the last year. I don't believe we should not learn lessons for what happened over the last year, we as Democrats. But we have to look forward. It would be great if members of my party, instead of being critical of Donald Trump, and for that matter, even, look, Hunter is going to say what Hunter wants to say about his father, and that's fine. But if we were out talking about the number one issue confronting voters, which is affordability, that issue not only is resonating with Democrats, it resonates with Republicans as well. One of the reasons I think there's such an opening for Democrats is if you look at the polling data, President Trump's numbers have fallen a bit, but he shouldn't be afraid because Democrats are still out talking nonsense. We are so dysfunctional. We're allowing a voice to emerge and that we're listening to and we're reacting to that is not serious in so many ways. Can you imagine if Democrats were out on tours across the country in all their districts, in the districts where things are affordable, talking and learning why they are, the things where they're not affordable, trying to figure out why that is the case, learning how AI can reduce the cost of health care in districts and communities across the country, how it can help educate kids. As boring as it may sound, it would certainly fill a void and be able to counter what President Trump is doing. President Trump went to the Middle East and brought back trillions of dollars of investments in America, and the Middle East leaders took all of our AI technology, trillions of dollars of it, by purchasing it. This is what's on people's minds, not the nonsense that we're talking about here. Democrats, we have an opening. Neither party is being warmly embraced, fully embraced by the country. President Trump is above it all, but even his numbers suggest there's an opening. But if we continue down this silly, cathartic path, to borrow David Axelrod's word, and not be strategic and forward-looking and offering answers, we deserve what we get.
So how do you balance that, Katie? How do you reconcile the cover-up and the coup and all the shenanigans with also trying to move forward?
I just find it so funny that when you were critical of Hunter Biden over the course of the last 5 years, and even when he was flying on Air Force Two, for example, when Joe Biden was the vice president, you weren't allowed to criticize him. It was like hands off. You can't criticize the president's children. He was talked about like a child, even though he was in his 50s. And now they can't say enough bad things about him because he's out there telling the truth about how his family feels about what happened. You know, there's a reason, as they say, the rearview mirror is small and the front windshield is big. Like, Democrats have to find a way to find somebody to take them forward. And all I hearing David Axelrod talk, and even Rahm Emanuel and all the leaders of the party, is they're still stuck in their own bubble. They're not out talking to people in Pennsylvania about how the steel industry has come back under Trump. They're not out there talking about how, you know, exporting more LNG is bringing the cost of energy down. They're not talking to the guy fixing your HVAC system, like the guy coming to my house tomorrow, talking about how the energy policies under Joe Biden and Barack Obama increased prices by $10,000 per family to replace the system. So they got to get out there and talk to regular people. I know the party has to come up with some kind of way to move forward with the leadership. But for a long time, Democrats have allowed the elites to choose their candidates. They try to keep people off of ballots and primaries, as they did with Joe Biden against RFK Jr., for example. They got to talk to people and let them run the show rather than thinking that the elites from the top down are going to take care of this problem.
Okay. How's your HVAC? Good? Nice and cool?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Hopefully soon.
You're sweating?
Tomorrow.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.